So a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Mel Findlater from the Ordinary Superparents and the UCAN Hub, all about what it means to be raising an adventurous kid. We brought along our little girls to Hatfield Forest near Stansted Airport, so listen out for the planes. And they went off and disappeared into the jungle and the forest, made dens, and yeah, so we had a great time. How about them apples? Okay, hi. I'm here with Mel Findlater from the UCAN Hub and from Ordinary Superparents, and we're going to be discussing about why superparents are awesome. So, Mel, could you introduce yourself to the group?
I can. So I'm Mel, and I am a mum of a toddler, and I'm Canadian, live in the UK. I love adventure and life, and taking small risks, I think,
Right.
to expand and explore.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you have a little one. Can you tell me anything about your little one?
Yeah. So my little one is Ira. She's 2.5, and she is awesome. She's back behind us building a den, as you do, and she's great. Yeah. What to say about her? She's adventurous in her own little way, holding one finger as we walk along, exploring the woods, and she's the biggest change I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Is what she is.
Yeah, children are, aren't they? Huge change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there that she's adventurous in her own way.
Yeah.
Is that something that's important to you? Is that something you want to foster, or?
Yeah, hugely so. I think to me, adventure is about, it's a frame of mind. So it's about being able to kind of stretch limits and take reasonable risks and see what's possible instead of what's impossible.
Yeah.
And I want that for her. I want her to be able to explore the world in a kind of I can way.
Yeah.
And when life throws stuff at her that as a parent I would hope it wouldn't, but it will,
Yeah.
then she'll be able to kind of take that with a grain of salt and get through it and have the courage to do that.
So it's all about building courage and determination, those sort of skills,
Yeah,
would you say,
and belief in herself,
Yeah.
that she can jump over a log at
Yeah.
this age, and later on she can do whatever it is that she wants to do in life.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds pretty awesome that you want to encourage those skills in her now.
Yeah.
And you're using adventure as a method to get to that point of personal development. That's really
Yeah.
good. So you've taken Ira on some adventures yourself, have you? Or
We have, yeah.
what would be
Yeah.
one of the highlights of those adventures?
I mean, it's anything from the small to the big, right? Paddle jumping is an adventure if it's kind of, especially if it's somewhere we haven't been,
Yeah.
or seen somewhere we have been in a new light. But then there's the bigger ones where, so being from Canada, we went back in spring, and we went to, I could hear. Wow.
Oh, well done. Keep going.
Look at me. God, I love kids. Yeah, so in March this year we went back, April this year we went back to Canada, and we had lots of little adventures there. We had a bit of a sabbatical, my husband and I both, and just took some time to explore, and a couple kind of stand out in my mind. One is we went up this, it's officially a mountain even though it doesn't meet the criteria of a mountain, called Mount Doug in Victoria, Vancouver Island.
Why is it not a mountain?
It's not tall enough.
Okay,
So I'm not sure how it managed to make it a mountain.
Okay.
We'll have to look up the history of that one.
Yeah.
But it is called Mount Doug. And normally it would take about 40 minutes for an average adult to walk up it.
Yeah.
It's not too strenuous. So we thought we'd walk up it, but we forgot to bring the carrier with us.
Okay.
And so we're like, okay, how are we going to do this? But we're like, do you know what? It's morning time. It was nice and early. Let's just try.
Yeah.
And worst case, one of us will carry her on our hips or whatever. And she made it all the way. She had 10 minutes at the top where we carried her. It took 2.5 hours. She walked the entire thing herself.
Wow.
He just took lots of stops. And
Yeah.
when she got to the top, she yelled, "I climbed a mountain!" really loud. That was just lovely.
Is there any tips in taking a kid for a long walk like that? Any tips to keep them like occupied or keep their
Go at
interest?
their pace
Yeah.
is my biggest thing. And actually her favorite part, which I would plan in next time I think, is there was a geocache there that we didn't know was going to be there. So it was this little tiny cave that was this little treasure box was hidden in. And you open it up and it just says take something, leave something, essentially. So she took a paperclip and we left I think we left a coffee card for a UK coffee shop in Canada. Probably useless to someone, but and she was so proud of that paperclip. Carried the rest of the way up. And I think things like that where you stop frequently and kind of explore something in that area, and snacks, a lot of snacks.
Breaks for snacks, breaks for drinks.
Exactly. And then at the top there was a road bit that you can go up as well, on the other side, which is a bit shorter. And my husband walked down and we slowly walked down, so he went at his pace, and then we didn't have to walk the whole way down, which was
drove up and picked you up on the way back.
very helpful. And that's okay. Like the kind of like gritty part of me wanted to do it all, but actually in reality she was tired and she made it to the top of a mountain. That's incredible. And it's just kind of taking it at their pace, I think.
That's really good.
And we were okay with having to turn around. I think that's the mentality we had to go in with.
Having another option to get down, which isn't having to walk all the way back down, is a
and also if she didn't make it to the top, we would have gone down after half an hour if she wasn't in the mood. You know, and we just had to kind of
judge the
go with what she needed instead of like our own ambition.
Because if she hadn't made it off the mountain, it wouldn't be the end of the world anyway.
Exactly. She still climbed half a mountain or whatever.
Exactly.
So
And that's huge for a 2-year-old, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you said there's 2 big adventures in Canada. What's the second one?
The second one was we went on the Wandafika Trail on Vancouver Island, which we did, her dad and I did when we were in university when we first met. And it's about an 8-kilometer hike, pretty difficult terrain, just along the coast. So you see the water the whole time, but you're in trees and the forest, and it's up, down, over streams, in and out. And when we did it then, which of course is the part I just kind of ignored, was I almost did my knees in, like it was that hard. But it was beautiful. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been, really. And we saw a grey whale come in and all those things. So I wanted to take her there. I thought, let's go backpacking. So I stuck her on my back in the carrier, and her dad had all of the stuff. We stayed 3 nights. No, 2 nights, 3 days. So you had all the food and everything else that you need for camping. And we went on this big old hike. And you can stop at a beach 2 kilometers in, but then the rest of the way, you're stuck. There's no escape, really. You're gonna make it, or you're gonna turn around, essentially. So we thought it was gonna take us about 3, maybe 4 hours. So we didn't manage to get started until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it took 6 or 7 hours, I think it was, in the end, to walk just one way. And that was rather interesting in and of itself, and we couldn't let her down because we needed to get there before dark. And we got to the point where you just can't turn around, you just go. So we did.
What you see, if you can find in there, in the lunchbox, see if you can find the grapes.
Good idea.
In the lunchbox, see if you can find the grapes.
Why?
Because then you can have some grapes if you want. What do you think? Would Ira like some grapes too? Do you like grapes?
Yes. So we thought it would take kind of 3 or 4 hours, and it took 6, 7. And we got there, and it was fine, and we kind of made it at that point. I was exhausted. The last little bit is on like a rocky beach that's actually really, really difficult to walk on when you're tired, but we got there. Had a lovely next day, and what we learned from it was to then on the way back start at like 9 a.m. and stop every half an hour.
Start early,
and then she would walk a little bit, and we'd have a snack. It's all about the snacks. Have a snack. She'd walk a bit until it was kind of too dangerous, or she was tired, and then she'd go back on. And it was still challenging, but it took a lot longer even than that, but it was a lot better on the way back.
More enjoyable for everybody involved.
Exactly. And it was still worth it in the end, and I didn't think it was worth it when we just finished, actually, because it was really hard. And it was, I should say, so it's bear country and cougar country. So bears, they're kind of scary, but generally they'll stay away from you when you make noise and stuff. They don't actually want to see you. But you do have to remember to, like, you know, there's extra things
Put
in
your
Canada,
food
like
up
put your
on it,
food up in
yeah,
the tree and
yeah.
all those kind of things. And the cougars, though, there's lots of signs about them, and you're in cougar country, and toddlers are prey
Right.
to
Okay.
cougars. Not adults, but toddlers. Something about their voice or whatever, and size. So it wasn't as enjoyable as it should have been because it wasn't as relaxing. I had to have her within arm's reach at all times, and we both had big walking sticks that were basically like our
Cougar
protection.
Yeah.
Not that we could actually fight a cougar probably, but so it was quite scary that way. And if I did it again, I'd just choose to go to the first beach, which was covered in cliffs, and actually she could roam free to some extent.
And that's enough wilderness. And then
They couldn't sneak up on you, basically, any animal, so I felt a lot safer. But actually, in terms of like, I don't regret doing it that way.
yeah.
Because we pushed ourselves physically as adults to our limits as well. And we came back, and what made it worth it is she started integrating it into all of her play.
Okay.
So she's always talking about the rivers and the waterfalls. So as we walked along, we'd count when's the next waterfall, because each river had a little mini waterfall.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what kept us going and kept her going, to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
all of her play now is like, so what are you building there? She's just, using Duplo or something, and she's like, a mountain, mama. Guy's gonna climb the mountain, find a waterfall, go to the beach. And I was just like, oh, it was worth it.
It's really good because it must have had a massive impact on her to have that going into her normal daily life sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
actually, like, as much as it was challenging and difficult, and I was wondering and questioning all my decisions in the process, I think it was worth it because she won't necessarily remember doing it. She's too young, but it's helped to kind of develop what's normal to her.
Yeah.
That's just what you can do.
Okay, so what has been your worst experience while being an adventure parent? Or the hardest thing that you've had to do in
The
terms of
biggest
like...
challenge, and I kind of was looking at my question earlier, the biggest challenge is actually, I was like, oh, he wants an adventure answer, but the answer is the creation of Ira.
Yeah?
That's the answer. That was the hardest and most challenging thing, the kind of, the trying for 4 years and then IVF and the creation of her during that process, and then labor, like both of us could have died.
Yeah.
It was pretty horrible, and yet the most human experience I've ever had.
Right.
Like, to get through that and know that I can.
Yeah.
And that she can. And that's the hardest time, because this little being comes into the world that you're supposed to have that instantaneous love and connection with, and I didn't yet because I was in shock. And you can't roll over to pick her up and things like that, and you just get through it, and mostly get through it because family's there and friends are there and people are there to do the small things that...
That's okay, babe. You can drop some on the floor because the squirrels will eat them. She's eating sweet corn, just so you know.
Yeah, so I think to me that was the biggest and hardest challenge that we've come through together as a family, and obviously was worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm stronger for it.
Emotionally difficult time.
Hugely
as well as
so.
obviously physically as well, and everything else. Go on, must
Hugely
have really
so,
pushed you.
I think it does for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of years in the kind of conception part as well, and I think that's all just part of the journey.
Yeah.
Actually, and I don't regret any of it.
No.
Of course,
You've got to be so
I'd rather
thankful
it
as
be
well.
a nicer delivery, but I'm so thankful for where I've got to, and I think because of it, I'm even more so.
Right.
And when I have my bad days, when I just wish I could be off by myself somewhere, as every parent does, I that's what I pull back on, is that appreciation of the fact that she's there, and that experience gave me that opportunity.
Having to go through that long, protracted period of time, and then having that nice reward at the end, and then even the bad times now, you still look back and think, actually, well,
it's something I can remind myself of.
Yeah.
Something kind of tangible to hold on to, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's thrown me. I don't know. I can't remember what the next question was. Well, most of all, you're the one of the founding members of the UCAN Hub. If we go on a complete tangent from where we were a moment ago, what is the UCAN Hub and how can people benefit from it?
UCAN Hub kind of started as a group of friends who wanted to work together and make a difference in the world and figure out what we love to do and what we're good at. And it's about helping ourselves during going through the journey at the same time as other people are, and helping people go from impossible to I'm possible.
Right.
No matter what their background or ability or anything like that, it's about just helping people believe in themselves again.
So what actually physically is it? Is it just a group of people? Or?
It's a group of people. It's a community.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've experimented with lots of methods and ways to deliver that.
Yeah.
There's coaching, there's events, there's online communities, and the Ordinary Superparents is part of that. But it's a community. It's people. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's people. Yeah.
And they just get together either online or in person, just try and make themselves a better person.
Yeah.
Trying to go outside of themselves, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that? I suppose that's the ethos of the Ordinary Superparents.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it came from a very similar place, and for me, so Ordinary Superparents, the name itself means a lot to me. So, ordinary is the human part. It's the fact that we're not. I just told this big story of an adventure to you, of, going out to the bears and cougars.
Yeah.
And what I don't want is people to look at that and think I'm above or better than anybody else, or think that I am and that they can't do it. It's about the opposite of that. The ordinary is about the humanness that we are in people. And then the super parent part is the kind of fun element, and then it's ordinary people deciding to do extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And whatever that means for their life.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't have to be like you say, going off to Canada and fighting bears. It
No.
can just be like when we had the camp out the other day, and one of the parents, that's the first time ever camping with their child, and that was a huge thing to them. And that is being super, because you're stepping that far out of your comfort zone.
That's exactly it.
Not even if it, but whether it's a big thing or a small thing, or in some people's perspective, it's big for you, and that's why it's a super parent.
Exactly. I kind of picture we all have this kind of comfort zone, a little bubble around ourselves, and it's our jobs as humans to kind of slowly push it out.
Yeah.
We're not jump over into the outside world pop, just to very slowly kind of test that limit.
And the bigger you make that bubble, the bigger you make the bubble, the more that's involved in the bubble, the more people you meet, all that sort of thing.
Exactly. So the Ordinary Superparents, that's the ordinary and the superparents, but you also have I've been kind of working about figuring out how to describe it, and what I think I'm put on this earth here to do is to help people believe in themselves, and kind of feel that for themselves and for each other. And so the parents group is about creating the space that people need to be human, the goods and the hardships and the excitements and the inspiration, and therefore so that we can show that our kids that we're human and that they can be too, and that we're superhero, we do extraordinary things, but actually we're also normal. We're also ordinary, and push ourselves to our limits and our kids.
So if you had one piece of advice for a parent out there who wanted to raise their kids a little bit more adventurously, what might you say to that person?
I think I'd start by looking at themselves and looking at their kid. So first look at yourself and think, what's my comfort zone? How could I push my comfort zone while including my kid?
Yeah.
Because if you're excited about it, they pick up on it.
Yeah.
And they get excited about it. And then think about and relate that to what are their interests, what are their needs, and decide where it merges somewhere in the middle. And then you might try something that you don't know if they like it yet. That's fine as well. But if you know they like, I don't know, cycling or something, and you are scared to ride a bike, then you could join that together or whatever. And there's a lot of parents in the group that I've talked in the Ordinary Superparents group that say they're not big fans of camping, but they want to go for their kids because they want to raise an adventurous child. So they want to kind of stretch themselves so that they can show their kids that that's what they'll do.
And showing the kid as well that they're stretching themselves will show the kid that it's possible for the kids to stretch themselves as well, and not to be scared of going outside your comfort zone and making mistakes and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's okay if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like that's part of it, I think. And so yeah, that would be my tip, I think.
So if people wanted to find out more about you and what you get up to, where should they go and what should they do? How can they find out about the UCAN Hub? How can they find out about Ordinary Superparents?
So UCAN Hub is online, ucanhub.com,
right.
if you want to find us there. And Ordinary Superparents is a Facebook group at the moment, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
So just search for that on
and they can find out everything you're up to.
And you can find us and apply, which sounds like a very formal word, but you basically answer 3 questions to let us know what.
Do you remember what those questions are, by any chance?
I think there's something along the lines of what interests you about the group, what brings you here, what challenges do you have in being able to live fully with a kid, and what would make this group perfect for you. So pretty simple.
People already, before they even join the group, they've already been asked to think about their own situation, their own comfort bubble.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then think where your limits are already before they even go in. That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
that's almost exactly what you just said a moment ago.
Exactly. It gets people thinking, and I think for me as well, my vision is to have a hyper-engaged group of people.
Yeah.
So I don't know how big it will eventually be, but I'm not aiming for thousands and thousands of people who don't recognize each other. Yeah. I'm aiming for a small group or multiple small groups, who knows, where people connect and engage and they're present on there. They're actually benefiting from it, not just watching from
a distance.
Really gaining something from it.
Yeah.
So I think the questions kind of help.
Yeah. That's good. Well, if you want to get along to Ordinary Superparents, find them on Facebook and ucanhub.com for UCAN Hub, and Mel will see what Mel's up to there. So thank you very much, Mel, for having this time to video, and our kids have been great over there.
They're amazing.
Eating their sweet on their breadsticks. Well done, guys.
We're finished and now they're happy and
now they're not bothering us. But anyway, thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully do more of these. Big thanks to Mel for being interviewed for me, and I am going to be looking for other people, other parents who have adventurous kids or have kids they want to raise adventurously to interview. So if you are interested in being interviewed, please drop me an email, john_doolan@hotmail.com. That's JON_DOOLAN@hotmail.com, and let me know that you want to be interviewed, and I'll see about getting on to you. Cheers, bye.